The cost of rejection, reclaiming belonging for the next generation. What happens when you finally reach the mountaintop of safety, only for a hidden secret to emerge from the shadows and pull the rug from under you? Imagine living with the constant, knowing feeling of being rejected, only to realize that the one doing the rejecting is you, and the cost is being paid by your children.
Today, we enter a field where God steps in as a representative, and where great-grandfather's hidden life creates an entanglement across two different family systems. We are looking at the heavy price of cutting ourselves off from our roots. We are learning that you don't have to forgive and you don't have to forget, but to save your children, you must belong. Welcome to Younique Yet Connected. I'm Nolitha Xozwa Fenton, iTolokazi, the explorer of the unseen, the unheard, and the untold. The space holder, seeker, and sacred witness in the work of systemic family constellations. As always, I'm not alone. Kinga and Nika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, dear listeners and co-editors. This is where we explore the hidden patterns that shape our lives. I am Kinga Szilágyi, facilitator and guide through the field where unseen truths rise to the surface. Together we walk the invisible terrain of the family soul, where the wisdom that speaks is when the system reveals itself.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating the wisdom of systemic family constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and, most importantly, implement in our daily lives. The secret that sabotages safety. Our client today came to us with a repetitive and painful pattern. Every time she reached a place in her life where she felt safe, where the table was set and everything was finally okay, a secret would suddenly explode.
These weren't new secrets. They were old truths held by people she trusted absolutely. The emergence of these secrets left her in a state of chronic rejection. She felt pushed out, lied to, and fundamentally unwanted.
She found herself constantly choosing egocentric, egoistic people who felt it was okay to keep her in the dark. She was hiding behind the information, and the information was hiding from her. It was a hall of mirrors.
In the field, we had to be careful not to put too much in it at once. If the field is cluttered, the secret has more places to hide. We started simply: a representative for the client, a representative for the who, the person she trusted, and a representative for the secret itself.
The moment the secret stood in the circle, it was clear. This didn't belong to the client's current life. It was an ancestral stowaway. It had a weight that felt decades old.
The client recognized the energy immediately. "There is my great-grandfather," she whispered. We brought in the great-grandfather, and the dynamic shifted instantly. He and the secret began to communicate in a way that excluded everyone else.
They were connected by a hidden thread. As they spoke slowly, we realized this secret actually belonged to a different family system entirely. Sometimes two families become entangled through a hidden action, a child, a debt, or a forbidden love.
The great-grandfather started to take responsibility. He stood tall and looked at the secret. He acknowledged his choices and his fate. By doing this, he began to untie the client from the burden of knowing.
The secret representative began to move away, slowly returning to its own life, its own family system. The entanglement was dissolving, but as the secret left, a new problem emerged. The client was now standing face to face with her great-grandfather.
She looked at great-grandfather and she felt a wall of ice. She didn't want to connect. She said, "My family are bad people. I don't want to be connected to them. I want to be separate from this badness."
She was in a state of righteous rejection. She believed that by cutting off the bad ancestors, she could stay pure and safe. But systemically, when you cut off a root because it's dirty, the fruit on the branch begins to wither.
She turned away from her great-grandfather and looked toward the heavens. She wanted something that represented absolute good. She asked for a representative for God.
It is rare that we bring in such a massive archetype. The field called for it. She turned to God and asked for permission to reject her family. She wanted God to validate her exile.
God offered her the strength to stay and look at the truth of where she came from.
The high price of cutting the life force. He didn't judge her for wanting to reject her family, but he wouldn't let her lie to herself. He helped her to accept the feeling of wanting to reject them without actually letting her sever the bond.
This shift gave her a strange new strength. She realized that the rejection she felt wasn't coming from the outside. It was her own internal rejection of her past. She was at war with her own blood.
To show her what this war was costing her, Kinga brought in a representative for her son. She didn't tell her who he was at first. The son stood there, looking toward the great-grandfather, the bad man, with a look of deep longing.
He wanted to love his great-great-grandfather. He wanted to belong to the whole story, not just the sanitized version his mother was trying to create.
Kinga asked the client to tell her son, "It is okay for you to love them. It is okay for you to want to connect with your great-great-grandfather." The moment she said those words, the relief in the son's body was visible to everyone.
This is a vital lesson. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to forget. But you must accept the truth that you belong to that family. No matter what they did, your father is your father and your mother is your mother.
When you accept this fact, it allows your child to belong. When you reject your parents, you inadvertently force your children to choose between you and their own roots. It creates a vacuum in their soul.
We then brought in her daughter. The daughter, too, felt the immediate relief of the connection. The tension that had been held in the family for 3 generations began to pour out as tears.
The client was now faced with a choice. She could continue to reject her bad family, but she would be cutting her children off from the life force that flows through the lineage.
Life comes through the family to us, and through us to our children. If you shut the door on your parents, you are inadvertently crimping the hose of life force for your children.
She saw the physical cost. She saw her children standing there, thirsty for a belonging that only she could grant them. She realized that her trauma was a wall that her children were banging their heads against.
The bad great-grandfather wasn't just the man who kept a secret. He was the one who passed life to her father, who passed it to her. Without his bad choices, her good children wouldn't exist.
She started to cry. Not the tears of a victim, but the tears of a mother who finally sees the way home. The tears of relief that come when you stop fighting a war you can never win.
She accepted her place. She stepped into the light. She was no longer the judge of her ancestors. She was the bridge for her children. You are still listening to Younique Yet Connected. The theme for this episode is the cost of rejection, reclaiming belonging for the next generation. If this story touches your heart, please share it. You can find us at Younique Yet Connected on all social platforms.
Integrating the truth of belonging. As the client stood in her place, the representative for God moved behind her entire family line. The rejection that had defined her life for so long began to dissolve in a quiet, heavy acceptance.
She realized that by trying to be better than her family, she had made herself lonelier than her family. Righteousness is a very cold house to live in.
She looked at her son and daughter and said, "You belong to this family. You are allowed to love everyone who came before you. Their stories are theirs, but their life force is yours."
The ancestors, the bad people, didn't suddenly become saints. They remained who they were, but their bigness was restored. They were the ones who paid the price for their actions. It wasn't the client's job to punish them anymore.
The secret was gone. It didn't have the power to explode anymore because there was no safe table to protect. The truth was out, the belonging was claimed, and the secret had no shadow to hide in.
This is the ultimate healing, when we stop asking our ancestors to be perfect and start thanking them for being the conduits of life. The life force doesn't care about the morality of the pipe. It only cares about the flow.
The client's physical symptoms, the feeling of being not safe even when things were okay, simply vanished. She was safe because she was rooted. You cannot be knocked over when you are part of the whole forest.
She walked out of the field not as a survivor of a bad family, but as a woman who carries the strength of an entire lineage, secrets and all.
Reflection exercise. I invite you to look at your own rejection wall. Who in your family have you judged as too bad to belong to you?
The identification. Close your eyes. Think of that person in your family you want nothing to do with. The cost. Now imagine your children or the younger generation of your family standing behind you. See how they are looking at that rejected person. Do they look like they are missing a piece of themselves? The sentence. Look at your ancestor and say, "You are the big one. I am the small one. I don't judge your life. And I don't forgive your choices. That is not my job." but I accept that I come from you. You are my source. The blessing. Now turn to your children and say, you are free to love them. You belong to the whole story. The life force comes through all of us to you.
In the next episode, we explore the ghosts in the business, how a family tragedy from 1920 might be the reason your current startup is failing.
We'll guide you in understanding how the field reveals the roots of a professional stagnation. Join us as we share what the field knows.
A big thank you to you for listening to our podcast, and to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point.
For episode 99, tune in on Sunday, 19th of July, 2026. Stay unique, stay connected. Siyabulela, köszönöm, thank you, bayadanki.
Siyabulela, kosonom, bayadanki, thank you.